This is a little video for Adam. He's building a trick jump at his property and he wanted to know the best way of going about it. So for your trick jump, and honestly any jump, you're going to want to build the landing at least 2 feet taller than the takeoff. This is going to help you have more to land on, be safer, and if it's a jump in the middle of a line, you're going to hold your speed way better. There's nothing worse than jumping a jump and then you just completely ran out of landing. You lost a bunch of speed and you're pumping, or even worse, God forbid, you're putting a pedal in to get over the next jump. For your landing, you're going to want it pretty mellow for your trick set. I don't condone mulch, but you know, each to their own. It's all the rage nowadays. For the lip, you're going to want it not too steep, but also not too mellow. You're going to want something that throws you up. Nice and easy, gives you a good trajectory. We'll go over that later in the video. So to build your jump, you're going to want to, this is the way you're doing it with a machine. So you're going to want to basically pile a massive mound of dirt if you can. You can do 2 smaller mounds if you want to do it separately, but this method works as well. So you've got your massive mound of dirt. You're basically going to make a big grade or a big ramp to get up and over it. When I've done this in the past, I've just used a bobcat, but you can also pile it up with an excavator and you can pack it down in layers. So you want to do little layers, couple feet, maybe 1 to 2 feet layers will make it ultra compact. You can do less, you can do more. You have to experiment with the type of dirt you've got. So you got your nice little bobcat here. I'm going for a nice little wild rose color. We're putting a little window on the front here. Lovely stuff, putting some tracks. So here's the layers, here's the little lifts going in. If you want to drive up and down, up and down, up and down. Tons of smoke coming out there. Yeah, dirty diesel power, hell yeah. So we'll turn down the opacity a little bit and we'll see, basically our jump is going to be underneath, and what we're going to do is we're going to scrape that out with an excavator. So I'm going to draw my little excavator in here. Big Dig 5000, standard issue. So you're going to place the bucket where you want your top of your takeoff to be on your mound. And then what you're going to do is you're going to position the second boom arm. This is kind of hard to explain. You'll need to definitely practice this a little bit to get it figured out. But you're going to position your arm at the boom of your excavator so that when you pull back towards you, you're creating an arc with the bucket. So the bucket is digging into the surface and you're pulling back towards yourself to create the transition of the takeoff. You can tweak the transition of the takeoff after using the knuckle of the bucket, and also by hand is obviously the best way to fine tune stuff. But you can do a lot of it with a machine. There's some amazing guys out there. Hellsend Dirt Compound is phenomenal in a machine. Matt Priest, amazing in a machine. Lots of guys there. You can look on Instagram and check those guys' work out. But yeah, phenomenal. So let's go over kind of basic lip transitions 101. So we'll draw a little circle in here. We're going to split this circle up and we're going to use 1/4 of the circle. Now, a quarter of this circle is going to be a quarter pipe. It's a quarter of a circle, a quarter of a pipe. It's going to be very steep. So the transition goes all the way to pretty much vertical or near vertical. This is not ideal when you're building a jump, as you want a little bit of forward momentum. So your momentum's just going to throw you straight up, and then you're going to come straight down. So if this was a spine, for example, we put a little spine landing in here, be ideal. Straight up, straight down, lots of air time, but also a lot of gravity and a lot of G-force coming down, super heavy. So by all means, you can build jumps like this. They're fun, super fun for sure, but not good for a trick jump, I wouldn't say. So this is the extreme other end of the scale, is kind of a racer or a long and low jump. So it's going to have a very pushing and long trajectory. Again, not ideal for a trick jump. Great if you've got a bit of elevation downhill. It's going to allow you to get lots of speed. I wouldn't really recommend building these if you have flat land. I think they're a bit of a speed killer if you just have flat land, but great for downhill. So we're going to look at something in between, a happy little medium here. So we've got the start of the transition from the quarter pipe at the bottom kind of third of the lip, and then we've got the kind of mellow section that kind of mellows out as you go up. So you're getting the best of both worlds there. So that's going to push you up and is going to push you forward. And this is what I believe to be ideal transition for pretty much any jump ever. You can pull up off of it, but it's still going to push you forward, so you can ride it however you want. And this is what I would use for a trick jump. So once you've cut out your main shape of your jump or your landing, you're going to want to use the back of the bucket. So it's called the knuckle. You're going to want to wet your surface a little tiny bit, or not if your dirt's already wet. And you're going to basically press into the surface of the transition, and then you're going to drag the knuckle back towards you. So just like how you were cutting it out with the teeth of the bucket, you're going to use the back of the bucket, the knuckle, to kind of smooth the surface out. And you're using the back of the bucket as basically a back of a shovel. Gotta say this isn't really ever true at a set of hand-built trails that's been sort of established for a while. People kind of know what they're doing, and they know that they need to keep momentum, so they're going to need to harness that speed somehow, and they're going to have to keep that speed somehow. And I see this a lot at public jump parks and beginner builds in particular. And the landings are just too mellow. They're way too mellow, and they suck to ride. They hurt your wrists, they kill your speed, they're just no fun. Even on a trick jump, you do not need to have a flat bank landing that feels like just a fly out. You can have some steepness in there. It doesn't have to be super, super steep, but steep enough is good. It's going to actually be nicer to land on rather than a complete flat bank. So that's just my opinion. Obviously, take that with a pinch of salt. But most importantly, we can talk about numbers and degrees and exact trajectory and all that business. The most important thing is just build what feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, just change it. It's dirt. It's the beauty of it. You can just change it as much as you want. It's amazing. If it's not right, add ½ inch to the lip, at the top of the lip. You know, if it's throwing you up too steep, take an inch off the top of the transition, shave it off, you know, shave it down. If it feels too steep and kicky and too buck, like it's throwing you too up, throwing you over the bars, add a little bit more dirt to the belly and see what it feels like then. You know, it's an ever-changing, it's an evolutionary process where you're constantly sculpting and changing, and yeah, it's one of the cool things about it. And finally, you know, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's individual as much as you can use the numbers to guide you and help you. It's also an art form. It's down to personal preference. Everyone builds jumps differently. They like a different feel, they like a different look. And that's one of the amazing things about it, is that you're going to go to a set of trails and it's going to feel completely different to another set of trails. I think that's amazing. I think that should be celebrated. So don't let me tell you what you should or shouldn't build. Go out and build what you want to ride and what you enjoy riding the most. Let me know what you think in the comments. What's your favorite style of jump? How do you like to build? Where do you see this going in the future? Drop a like if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button for more. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider joining our Patreon to help create more content for you guys. Bye for now.